There's a lot of talk about the impact that AI is going to have on the writing world. Now, on the one side, you have writers who believe that AI will be the death of writing as we know it today. And on the other side, we have writers who believe that AI will simply transform the way that writers do things. I'm in the latter group, and today I'm going to show you how we can use AI tools to complement our work as writers, not replace it. Today, what I want to do is I want to look at a couple different tools that are powered by AI tech that can make our lives as writers much easier. So, for example, the first tool I want to look at will allow us to kind of enter an average piece of writing into this section here. And then what we'll be able to do is we'll be able to select a style modifier, which essentially will just change the way the paragraph will sound. So for example, I could select creative or classic here. And then when we'll run the tool, it will take this paragraph that we entered here and rewrite it, maintaining the main ideas of the original writing, but adding stylistic flourishes which enhance the original writing style. After that, what I want to do is I want to show you a different tool, which is in Scribble here as well, where we can essentially just ask an AI assistant for help. So for example, imagine we're on the verge of coming up with a metaphor. We're not quite there yet. We're not sure which one we want to use. Or perhaps we want to take the one we have and just kind of audition it against different ones. So this AI writing assistant essentially can just spit out ideas very quickly, which really does make the entire kind of brainstorming and editing process much easier. So let's jump in and see how we can use AI writing tools to help us transform our writing from good to great. So first, I'll log into Scribble. Now, in order to follow along, I'll provide a link to Scribble below. Now, after logging in, for the first time, you're going to see your main book catalog page here. So for this tutorial, you're going to need to have at least one book created. So if you don't have a book created, just create one now. In a previous tutorial, I actually showed you how you can enter a prompt here and generate an AI book cover as well for your novel. So feel free to play around with that as well. But in my case, I already have a book created, so I'm just going to click on the book cover here and then start writing. So the first thing you need to do here is you need to add a chapter. So let's just do that first. So now that you have your chapter created, you can begin the writing process. Now, let's imagine that we started our book with the following paragraph. Now, I'm just going to grab an opening sentence or two from a book in the public domain. The book I'm going to use today is Frankenstein. Now, the original text I want to use is the following couple of sentences. It reads, "I am already far north of London, and as I walk in the streets of Petersburg, I feel a cold northern breeze play upon my cheeks, which braces my nerves and fills me with delight. Do you understand this feeling? This breeze, which has traveled from the region towards which I am advancing, gives me a foretaste of those icy climes." As you can see, it's quite a beautiful opening, but what I want to do now is I just want to strip it of its beauty so we can kind of run it through this AI tool to see if we can kind of restore it to its original state. So what I've done is I've just removed the charm of this text, and now it reads like this. It's more factual, just kind of point by point. "I am north of London, and as I walk in the streets of Petersburg, I feel a cold breeze brush against my face, which chills me and fills me with happiness. Do you understand this feeling? This breeze which travels from the town I am going towards gives me a taste of what's to come." So as you can see, I keep the idea alive, but I just kind of remove Mary Shelley's style. Okay, so now as a writer, you might be looking at this saying, okay, well, I'm not really sure this is the best that I can do, but I'm not really sure where I can take it from here. So within Scribble, whenever you have that feeling, you can just click on this little icon here, and then our paragraph reimagination tool will pop up. So here you can enter your original paragraph over to the left, and then select a writing style from the drop-down list here. Now, Frankenstein is a classic, so let's select classic writing style here. And then when you're ready, you just click on this little blue button here. Okay, so we have our first response. Now I can already tell just by glancing at it that there's parts I like and some parts I don't like, so let's just take a quick read. So it says, "As I wander the streets of Petersburg to the north of London, I'm chilled to the bone by a cold gust of wind. Yet this wintry caress brings me a peculiar kind of joy. Do you comprehend this sentiment that stirs within me? This breeze which has journeyed from the place I am headed towards gives me a foretaste of what awaits." So I like the beginning, I like the end of this, I could do without the middle. My point here, the thing that I want to draw your attention to whenever you're using AI tools is that it doesn't always get things perfect all of the time. What I think they're really valuable for is to kind of push you in a certain direction. So for example, here we're using a verb to walk. Here it changed it to wander. This makes me think, makes me question myself, and I can ask now, did I use the right verb here? The other thing that I like is it gives kind of a reinterpretation of different ideas. So here it says, give me a taste of what's to come in my original. And here it says, gives me a foretaste of what awaits. Just different ways of communicating the same thing, stylistically different. We could do the same thing. We don't need to use classic here. We could take creative, and we can run this again. Let's see what we get. So here it says, as I wander the streets of Petersburg, a cool gust wind caresses my face, sending a shiver of delight through my body. Do you know this feeling? This breeze, a harbinger of what lies ahead, is a promise of the wonders to come. I really like this. I think this is really interesting. As you can see, there's a lot of different styles that we can pick from, to scientific, academic, scary, dramatic, and so on. So let's just try scary just for fun. Let's run this again. I am north of London, and as I walk in the streets of Petersburg, a sinister chill runs down my spine. I can almost feel the cold wind coming from the town I'm going towards, foreshadowing something sinister in the near future. Do you understand this feeling of dread? So it's interesting. It's a total kind of reinterpretation of the paragraph. But this can be a very valuable AI tool to kind of take what you've written and just change it around a little based on the writing style that we select from the drop-down list here. So as you can see, not everything the AI generates is usable, but a lot of it is. And even the parts that aren't usable might guide you in a new direction or provide hints into new approaches in terms of expressing your point. It might provide a new metaphor or push you in a new direction of using a stronger verb, as I showed you in the example previously. Best case scenario, you can copy and paste the new and enhanced paragraph and use that in your novel. Worst case scenario, you can use it as an idea generation tool and then manually make adjustments to your paragraph by parsing out the parts that work for you and just throwing away the parts that don't. For example, these responses made me think of the verb to walk. Now, this might be something that I overlooked before. So now the AI kind of drew my attention to this, and I could ask myself, what is the best verb to express my character's kind of movement in this scene? So maybe what I could do is I could just close out this pop-up here and then click on this icon here. This is essentially an AI writing assistant tool where you can ask questions and get fast responses. So if my character is walking quickly, perhaps in excitement to get to his destination, I can ask my AI writing assistant the following. What are 10 other strong verbs that mean walking quickly? So let me run this. So these are some pretty interesting verb choices. We have scamper, stride, dash, trot, canter, bolt, and so on. So here, one of these results might turn out to be a better fit. Or perhaps I liked the variation of the phrase, gives me a taste of what's to come from the paragraph that we're working on now. So I could ask the AI writing assistant this. What are 10 different ways to say, gives me a taste of what's to come? Okay, so now we have our list. Again, I like some of these better than others, but I like hints of what's to come, foreshadows the upcoming events, gives me a glimpse of the future. Again, you can kind of remix a lot of these as well to kind of come up with your own ideas. But again, a wonderful idea generation tool. Or perhaps we have an idea for a metaphor. We're right on the edge of coming up with something we think is really interesting, but we just can't quite get to it. For example, maybe this character is lost, or for example, they could be hungry. What I could write here is, what are 10 metaphors for being hungry? And as you can see, we have some other interesting options here. As ravenous as a wolf, as hollow as a drum, stomach is a roaring lion, I'm a bear searching for honey, snake in search of its prey, and so on and so forth. So you can come up with some interesting ideas. Again, these ideas could be used or remixed or used to just kind of point you in another direction and kind of allow you to follow another train of thought. And again, there's no real limit to what you can ask this AI tool. For example, I mentioned had the idea of communicating being lost. Maybe we might want to communicate that through simile. So I could say, what are 10 different similes for being lost? And as you can see, more options pop up here. Lost as a ship without a sail, lost as a sheep without a shepherd, and so on and so forth. So play around with this whenever you get stuck. I find that it's an invaluable tool to help kind of get you back on track. Again, the main idea here is that you might not have thought about these ideas on your own. So the AI writing tools within Scribble can really help you with that creative process. These tools aren't here to replace you as a writer. They're here to help you. So when you're writing your books in Scribble and you need a little help improving your writing style, always remember that this paragraph reimagination tool exists to help push you in the right direction. And this writing assistant AI tool helps whenever you have a question or you need help kind of bringing an idea to the next level. So that's all I have for you today. Again, a link to Scribble can be found below so that you can put your own writing through these AI writing tools. Thanks for stopping by today. And again, don't forget to like and subscribe.